Hey everybody, my name is Nathan Ellison and I'm a professional counselor at Texas A&M University Counseling and Psychological Services. Today we're going to look at the first part of our Getting Unstuck workshop, understanding how our beliefs influence our depression. So let's get started. The first thing we want to look at is, what is depression? What is the difference between sadness and what is the difference between when I'm feeling depressed? Sadness is the normal, painful experiences to life's events. Usually, the sadness passes away when the challenging event in life passes away. And sadness really is something that we all experience at some point in our lives. Depression can be different than that, though. It may or may not include the feelings of sadness. Oftentimes, it's a more persistent experience. It includes a cluster of symptoms, and sometimes it may or may not arise out of a painful experience. There may be actually no identifiable reason that someone is feeling depressed. And so we want to start to understand and we want to start to look at our depression because through understanding comes change. And so we're going to look at a few different ways that we can understand our depression a little more. First, let's look at a downward spiral of depression. We hear this a lot in counseling, that people just feel like they're stuck in this downward cycle or downward spiral of depression. So for example, let's say someone with depression makes a mistake on an exam. This could be, for whatever reason, but it could lead to feelings of feeling sad and irritable, which, because you're feeling sad and irritable, can lead to the feelings of hopelessness about academic skills. This could lead to a fear that you're going to fail the class. Because you're experiencing this fear, you could lose your appetite. Because you are not eating, maybe you feel exhausted and you are having trouble sleeping. Well, the cycle comes in because when you're exhausted and you have trouble sleeping, often you make more mistakes on exams, which just, again, completes this spiral, this cycle of depression. So what we want to do is create understanding of what's going on. We want to name specific things that are happening inside of us so that we can start to change specific things and change specific responses to situations. The first place we're going to start is with schemas. What a schema is, it's a basic underlying belief pattern about our life. Typically, these are formed early in life, but most importantly, they filter and influence our understanding of our day-to-day experiences. These can be accurate or inaccurate, and most of the time, we're actually not even aware that we're doing these. We're not aware that how we're influencing our understanding of the day-to-day life. So we're going to go through a list. I'm going to encourage you, as I read through my brief definitions, if you're able, come back and read through these longer definitions. But as I list these out, as I read through these, make a note of the ones that you may feel that you are experiencing, the schemas that you may have. So let's get started. First of all, we have the schema of abandonment. This is the belief that people are going to leave you and you'll end up alone. The schema of approval or recognition seeking is the belief that approval is way more important than being your authentic self. The schema of defectiveness or shame is the belief that you're, quote, damaged goods. The schema of dependence or incompetence is the belief that you are incompetent and you cannot make any good choices because you're just going to do it wrong. The schema of emotional deprivation is the belief that your emotional needs will be neglected. The schema of emotional inhibition is the belief that you have to keep emotions in check so you are not rejected. The schema of enmeshment, or the undeveloped self, is the belief and struggle that you're not a person separate from other people. The schema of entitlement or grandiosity is the belief that you're special and you deserve things, even if it hurts other people. The schema of failure is the belief that you're destined to fail if you haven't already. The schema of insufficient self-control or discipline is the belief that you can't control your behaviors or displays of emotions. The schema of mistrust or abuse is the belief that others are going to hurt or abuse you. The schema of negativity or pessimism is the belief that life is bad, and even when it's good, it's just going to get bad again. The schema of punitiveness is the belief that people should be harshly punished for their mistakes. The schema of self-sacrifice is the belief that others' needs or desires always come above your own. The schema of social isolation is the belief that you really are different from everyone else. The schema of subjugation is the belief that you're being coerced into giving up control. The schema of unrelenting standards is the belief that you need to be the best and perfect at all times. And lastly, the schema of vulnerability is the belief that the world really is a dangerous place. So the reason why this is important is because we want to look at depression through a cognitive behavioral model. What that is it causes us to increase awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our behaviors as a response to depression. So what we have here is a cross-sectional formulation. This cross-sectional formulation, what it does is it lists out a specific situation. Then we're going to look at some schemas that might be influencing or filtering our feelings of depression. And we're going to look at physically, emotionally, cognitive, and behaviorally our responses to this. So let's get started. So first is the situation. This is the who, what, when, where, with whom that is happening. So for example, let's say I have a group assignment due for my class, and I asked a fellow classmate to be my partner, but she declined. This is the example we're going to kind of run with through this cross-sectional formulation. Now we want to look at what schemas are filtering and influencing the way we're responding to this situation. So go back and list out as many schemas as you think that you are experiencing in this specific situation, whatever situation that you put down. Now we're going to look at our physical response. Physically, when we are experiencing this situation, or maybe when we did experience, what is happening in our body? Maybe we have an upset stomach, maybe we're tired, maybe we lost our appetite, maybe I'm just getting really hot and really sweaty. Next, we want to look at emotionally, what emotions am I feeling when I've felt depressed? Maybe I'm feeling sad, ashamed, embarrassed, rejected, lonely, and irritable when I think about the situation. Now we're going to look at the cognitive piece, our thoughts. What thoughts are we having? What thoughts are going through our mind when we felt depressed? What did this say or mean about you or the situation you're experiencing? So example again, maybe some thoughts are, for my example, the thought of, I knew I shouldn't have asked her. She's way smarter than me and she knows it. If we had worked together, I would have only brought down her grade. I'm so stupid. She must hate me. Oftentimes when we're feeling depressed, these thoughts are pretty harsh. And so if we can list it down, we can start to think about our thoughts a little more. And then behaviorally, what's our first response to this? What are we trying to do, or what are we trying to avoid doing? So for example, I avoid asking anyone else in the class to be my partner, just in case they say no. I left class early, and I haven't found a partner to work with, and I'm going to avoid talking with her in the future. And so what we want to do is create understanding, create awareness of our depression in all these different areas. So after we do that, some questions to ask ourselves is, what are some other ways of looking at the situation? Am I looking at the whole picture or just a part of the picture? For example, maybe the girl that I asked already had a partner and she wasn't rejecting me, she just already had a partner. What might be a more helpful way of thinking about the situation? And have I had any experiences in the past that suggest this might not be completely true all of the time? So again, asking ourselves these questions and processing what we have experienced through this cross-sectional formulation. It's a really good place to start when we're feeling depressed, to create that understanding so we know what's going on. For any additional resources, you can go to our website at caps.tamu.edu. There we have some helpful resources such as Sanvello and other things that are going on. You can also follow us on all of our social media for any tips, tricks, or updates that we may post in regards to depression. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day doing this cross-sectional formulation. Remember to go deep and think about, create the understanding of what's going on in a response to depression. Thank you.